Gaming Bolt presents 16 monsters we hope to see as DLCs in Monster Hunter World. DLCs can be appreciated if done in the correct manner. It's a way for players to get new things that weren't originally available upon the game's initial release. On January 26, 2018, one of the highly lucrative assets owned by Capcom hit the gaming industry with a storm, that asset being none other than Monster Hunter. World has already seen massive heights as far as sales figures go, so Capcom would be a fool if they were to ignore to make good with that with monster DLCs. Other than the upcoming Deviljho, let's talk about 16 more monsters we want to see as DLC in the future, hopefully for free. Before we begin, please note that this is our list and our opinion about what monsters should be included as DLCs. Your list will definitely differ, so please keep in mind while watching this video. Also, please excuse my pronunciations for the monster names, just in case I get them wrong. Rajang. Starting this list off, we have Rajang, a fanged beast who made its debut in Monster Hunter 2. Now if you think this beast looks rather familiar, you wouldn't be that far off. It does hold a striking resemblance to Blangonga from the same game, and it even borrows some of the attacks it has. The hunter should be careful while fighting Rajang, as it uses electrical attacks, with its most infamous attack being the Thunder. This monster isn't easy to kill and can give even a skilled hunter a run for their money. Yian Kut-Ku. Everyone has their favourite monster in the Monster Hunter series, but one common favourite monster among fans is Yian Kut-Ku, a wyvern that debuted in the first Monster Hunter game. It isn't inherently a strong beast to fight, but it's fast and has a long range attack where it shoots fire projectiles. It's a tad disappointing to see that Yian Kut-Ku was missing in the game's initial 49 monsters, despite it being in almost every Monster Hunter game since its debut in 2004, and being one of the more popular monsters to the fanbase. Here's hoping it comes back in the future as DLC. Khezu. Khezu was a wyvern from the first game. He has a row of sharp teeth and no claws, but rather has a suction cup-like feet to aid him in climbing. It has a heightened sense of smell to compensate for its lack of eyesight as well. This monster sometimes likes to spam attacks that will cause electrical damage and cause paralysis. Let's hope we see it in action in the deadly world of Monster Hunter World soon. Zinogre. Zinogre was perhaps one of the most unique monsters you fought in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. Classified as a fanged wyvern, Zinogre was the Thunderwolf wyvern, which by itself is pretty awesome if you ask me. Just from a design perspective, it looks absolutely spectacular, but that doesn't mean he isn't dangerous. Not only is it aggressive, but it's also fast, especially for a monster of its size. Jhen Mohran. Jhen Mohran is an absolutely massive monster. There are no two ways about that. First introduced in the third installment of the series, Jhen Mohran is by far one of the most unique Elder Dragons when it comes down to its design. It has front legs but lacks hind legs, so it will either drag itself across the desert sand or swim on it. Make no mistake though, the absence of hind legs does mean you need to take it lightly. It'll be interesting to see how the developers will utilize Jhen Mohran in the open world setting of Monster Hunter World, should they decide to include it in the future. Fatalis. Maybe the crazy designs that look unfamiliar to you are simply too much. If that's the case, then look no further than Fatalis, an Elder Dragon introduced in the very first game. When it comes down to its design, it's quite simply a dragon. There's no other word to describe what it looks like. It resembles a westernized dragon with its massive wings and black jagged scales. Not to mention, it even has the ability to breathe fire and shoot fireballs. Though Fatalis isn't only a monster that can fight from afar, it utilizes its strong tail to hit its opponent, as well as using its strong jaw to take care of its enemy if they get too close. Lagiacrus. Now let's talk about the only Leviathan class monster on this entire list. Lagiacrus was first introduced in Monster Hunter 3, and unlike any of the monsters on this list, it can be fought above and below water. Its AI and fighting mechanics are dynamic, changing according to which place the fight is going on. If the player is to fight Lagiacrus above water, it would turn into a pale shade of blue, while the spikes on its back are a dull red. And if the fight goes on below, the monster's true colours show itself, which is deep blue while its spikes are a beige colour. LAO-SHAN Lung. In Chinese, LAO-SHAN Lung means Old Mountain Dragon, and given the monster's AI, design, and the way it pounces on its foes, it's no surprise why they chose that name. LAO-SHAN Lung is an elder dragon from the first game, and unlike his adversaries, it was the first truly massive monster the player will encounter in the game. LAO-SHAN Lung is perhaps our most wanted monster in Monster Hunter World, despite being docile in nature. Seregios. Now look, Seregios isn't particularly a massive monster, however it does have one thing that it uses completely for its advantage. It uses aerial combat like a champ. Seregios is a flying wyvern that was first seen in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. It has a very distinct golden coloured design and specialises in projections. Then there are the demonic Seregios as well, which was seen in Monster Hunter Explore. We think that the developers will be bringing a new variant in World, but that's merely speculation on our end. Shigaru Magala. The Elder Dragon Shigaru Magala. No words can possibly describe how awesome it would be if it ever returns in Monster Hunter World. Based on Gore Magala, yet another monster we'll tackle later in this list, Shigaru Magala is a vicious and feral beast that is always on the lookout for a fight with its fellow beasts, let alone the hunter. Its body is characterized by shiny golden scales, and uses its claws and virus breath to take down its enemies. Alatreon. Alatreon was quite an elder dragon from Monster Hunter 3, with control over different elements such as thunder, fire, and ice. Obviously, its design sparks of attitude and danger, and it will wreak havoc from the skies with all kinds of attacks. Alatreon's so powerful that it's said that it holds the power of the true elder dragons. However, due to its instability, it cannot reach its full power. Having said that, it's truly a spectacular sight to see Alatreon in action, and it will be crazy to see it take down other monsters in World. CHAMELEOS. If it wasn't clear already, monsters come in all shapes and sizes in the Monster Hunter series. Take this Elder Dragon as an example. It's obvious this monster takes inspirations from the real-world chameleon. CHAMELEOS was first introduced in Monster Hunter 2, and it has an elastic tongue, large orb-like eyes that it can move separately, and is able to camouflage itself. It can cause a thick fog to help it camouflage, and can completely wallop the player by a cloud of toxic gas. Brachydios. Featured in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, coming in different variations, Brachydios is a brute wyvern known for its well-developed legs, slime-covered horns, and fists. Don't try to get up close and personal with the Brachydios, well, unless you want slime mold on your face. It'll be interesting to see whether they will bring the older variations back or a totally new one. If the latter's not possible, we will definitely love to see your Raging, Evangelion, and Ice Blast Brachydios return in the future. Gore Magala. Gore Magala appeared in Monster Hunter 4 as the adolescent form of Shengaru Magala. Unlike its adulthood form, Gore Magala is not classified as an elder dragon, but rather falls under the unknown classification, which was new for Monster Hunter 4. It's covered in an exoskeleton with its eyes covered. This makes it immune to objects like flash bombs. Its frenzy virus will stop the player from healing over time, and all frenzy moves will deal extra damage to the player. Other forms include Chaotic Gore Magala and Evangelion Gore Magala. If the developer plans to bring this monster back, will they bring back an already known variant? Well, only time will tell. Nargacuga. Nargacuga was introduced in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite as a flying wyvern. This monster was covered in both dark scales and fur, with its eyes being a shade of red. This monster is not limited to what part of the body they can attack with, as it can attack with just about everything. It, however, prefers to use their wings to attack, though it will also use its tail that deals a substantial amount of damage. In short, Nargacuga is unpredictable, even more so than other monsters on this list. Tigrex. Tigrex. Were you thinking that we would miss this one out? So much like other monsters on this list, Tigrex is a flying wyvern from Monster Hunter Freedom 2. It's characterized by a yellowish-bluish skin and is extremely agile. Tigrex is a monster that relies heavily on its wings rather than using elemental power like fire or ice. A quadrupedal wyvern, Tigrex is definitely a foe we would love to take on in the future. So what monsters would you like to see as DLC in the game? Let us know in the comments below. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and switch on the bell icon next to it. That way you'll never miss any of our videos.